And welcome back to the Sippy and Yakx show. You're here with your boys Sippy
and Yakx.
And today we're here to talk to you about
important issues.
You cut me. You didn't let me say important. It was too fast.
Sorry, should we start again?
No. You were just like, and today we're here to talk to you about important. Okay, so this one's pretty important. Lucky episode number 10.
Yeah.
Amazing. We made it here. It only took us 10 episodes.
It only took us 2 months. It's been a pleasure for all of our listeners out there, because there are a few of you now. We have been really stoked to discover there are a few listeners out there. So thank you very much for listening. We do appreciate it.
We genuinely do. We've had some likes on social media. We've had a singular comment on YouTube.
It's been real good to see that engagement, the very whispers of that engagement starting up. And we really hope we're keeping you entertained, because we love doing it. So thanks for listening.
Yes. Today, the important issue is a thing that we like to call
adulting.
Adulting.
How do you dolt?
How is it done?
I think it's one dolt. Yeah.
We are adults.
Let me just state, it's written here. It's on my prompt cue.
I've been told
we are adults.
I've been told that we are of adult positions in humanity.
Yeah.
And
not only that, we've actually been adults for a little while. It's not a new
unfortunately this isn't a new development. But this is something we just became aware of very recently. And we figured, oh shit, maybe we should talk about that. We got some stuff to do. We got some bills to pay. We got some taxes we don't know anything about. Let's dive right in.
It's kind of like that moment where you find out that guy who in high school, who you always thought was a bit of an idiot, has been like promoted to like CEO of some like gasworks company.
Oh, that's the worst
you're like,
feeling.
Hey, what? Are you fucking serious? That's how we're reacting to discovering we're adults. That's the comparison. Here we go.
Adulting. What makes an adulting adult?
First subtopic, what makes an adult? Technically, under the laws of Australia, New Zealand, and I think at least England, you're an adult when you reach 18 years of age.
What can you do at this age?
You can buy alcohol and cigarettes. You are legally obliged to... I think you can be drafted. Like, you're legally obliged to join the armed forces if under conscription.
Yeah.
Still, although I don't think that is a enforceable law anymore. I'll have to look that up. So at an adult age, you can buy alcohol, cigarettes, you can have sex. Presumably you could actually do that 2 years before in most of the English countries. Well, America's the exception here. I'm leaving America off the list because there's slightly difference. I don't know.
We can gamble?
Oh, you can go to jail. You can go to prison. You can't gamble. In certain countries, you can only gamble when you're 21, remember?
Is that here as well?
Yeah, I think that's in New Zealand and Australia. Like I've
just never gambled. So.
Yeah, I think the pokey machines here might have different laws, but as a rule, you can go to prison, you can buy alcohol and legal drugs, and you can be held accountable for your actions in terms of like you can
Why can't you gamble though? That doesn't make... How is it the only thing you're
can
an
get
adult.
Credit cards.
You're an adult.
You can get a credit card, but you can't gamble.
You can do literally anything you want in this whole world within the confines of the law.
It's so
bar
good.
Gambling.
It's
it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Sure, we'll give you a credit card for $45,000. But can you go to the
pokies? Go to the pokies.
Nah, that's the other thing. They won't give you something like that. It's not like that. They'll give you an overdraft maybe of like $300, but they won't. And you have to show you can do it.
So basically what you're telling me is once you become an adult, the benefits is basically you can give yourself poison.
Yeah, essentially, as the way I look at it, and the best way to sum it up is that once you turn 18 and you're an adult, you can fuck things and the world can fuck you legally.
Yay.
That's how it works.
But yeah, so what makes an adult?
The age?
Technically speaking, that is what it is.
That's age, yeah.
Yeah. But also, like if you look at it from a less literal sense, you'll meet some people who
are well past the age of 18.
they are older than 18, and they are most certainly not what you'd
adults.
Consider an adult, because they are completely useless, don't understand anything, and still making fart jokes.
In a less literal sense, you'd also look at it like there's maturity, there is components of, I think, wealth as well. I think wealth actually does come into it.
It does. I guess, like, you know,
That's more of a society-based thing. But
yeah,
it is,
it's not too much of an adult thing because you can still have wealth as a child.
Yeah, but in some ways, it's often deemed not to be your wealth when you're a child.
This is
true. Because in a lot of ways, it usually isn't. Unless, I mean, you get those odd entrepreneurial, like 12-year-olds who sell a bunch of shit and, you know, are just that geared that way.
Those fucking kids.
I know, right? But most of the time, it's your parents' money or a trust fund or some
or like
bullshit.
your like child actors like earning money, but it goes into, you know, like a trust fund or just to your mama's bank account. She's like, thanks. You'll have it later, unless you die early.
Oh. What makes you an adult as well is the moment where you are on your own. You're out of your parents' house. That's when you switch from...
That does feel like a big
step, you know? Yeah.
Lots of people don't move out when they are technically adults, though.
No.
And I think that does kind of stunt being an adult. Because,
absolutely.
You know, I've had mates who lived with their parents like well into their 20s, and it's like, first of all, how? Because I could not do that.
Yeah, I think it's a special kind of relationship.
Yeah, it is. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but also, like, how do you do things when you still live with your parents?
Yeah, I very much have the opinion that I needed to get out of my kind of environment, my home environment as soon as possible.
I never particularly liked living with my parents, not because it was bad, just didn't like sharing space with them. And then as soon as I left, I was like, oh my God, I can do anything I would like.
Exactly,
and that was, you know, that is that like classic thing of freedom. America. You know, as soon as you move out, you're kind of just able to do whatever you like. You can just spend all your money extremely recklessly, and then a couple of years later, you figure out it's not how you do it.
And hey, that's a great way to put it. It's kind of like the Gru meme. Become an adult. Move out of home. I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you suddenly find that, of course, you can eat ice cream at 5 a.m. if you really want to before you go to work.
But there was a reason you got told not to.
There are consequences.
The learning curves of becoming an adult. It is truly amazing.
I think responsibility in itself also makes adults of people, and it can do that ahead of their time.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
The most obvious example I can think of off the top of my head is when someone like a young sister or a young brother, you know, either their parents or their caregivers or, you know, they're orphans, those people are out of the picture, and so they are forced to raise younger siblings or raise themselves.
Yeah.
And so they become adults ahead of their time.
Yeah, and also like parents kind of putting responsibility on kids, which, you know, works out a lot of the time. But, you know, if like the kids are cooking dinner and they're like 10 years old, I've seen it happen before. It's like, you learn how to cook now. It's like, fuck, man, I still don't know how to cook.
You know what's fucked is I learnt and then I unlearnt.
So did I, actually. I used to cook all this amazing food, and now I'm like, I just can't be fucked. I'm tired. I want to go to bed and eat cereal.
I'm pretty sure that is adulthood in the 21st century, actually.
It is.
I'm fucked, I'm tired, I just want to go to bed and eat cereal. Yeah, when you start to realize that.
I read something that, it's like, there was this shitty article ages ago, and it's like, millennials have figured it out. Going out is bad. It's like, everyone actually just wants to stay home and do nothing. I was like, right on. Right on, bro.
Yeah, like we talked about before, there is a generation under us, of course, as well. Yeah, I love the comparison sometimes that gets made is that there's like this whole thing. It's like millennials are like, oh, life is meaningless, and so they're very sad and depressed about it. And Gen Z under us is like, life is meaningless, blatant commercialism. I'm gonna buy everything, nothing fucking matters. Woohoo! Like it's like it's a hedonistic society that they live in.
But it's undoubtedly better because they are happy and we are not.
I don't know. The thing is that half the time they might not be happy anyway. They're just dealing with it differently.
They seem to be dealing with it in a more positive fashion. It's better than just sitting at home and being like, I'm going to send some memes. It's like,
well, you got me there.
It's a fairly meager existence.
But just reassess.
Like, imagine
if they're really good memes.
What if they're real juicy memes?
What if they're real dank, you know? Anyway, so that's what makes an adult. If you didn't know, now you know.
That is what it is to us. That is what we think being an adult is.
What do you guys think an adult is?
Like and subscribe, comment below.
Smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button.
So the other thing we want to talk about is like the expectations of, you know, when you're a kid and you're like, being an adult is going to be so awesome. I'm going to have such a good time. And then you kind of get there and you realize initially maybe you don't, but then a bit later on you're kind of like, this is different.
Well, that's the thing. I reckon expectations of being an adult when you're a kid, you see all the good shit. You don't see as much of the bad shit. You see a bit of it, but you don't see the really bad shit because, of course, that usually gets hidden from kids. But expectations can be along the lines of, I can do whatever I want. You see a lot of that. I'm going to drive a car. I'm going to have money. I can have sex. I can gamble. I can, those things that you look ahead to in the years.
I'm going to get tattoos.
Yeah.
That's another thing you can do.
18-year tattoos. Sorry. So both of us have quite a few tattoos. Like, you think we'd remember that?
I forget about it all the time.
Fuck it hell.
But yeah, we just want to talk about the expectations versus what actually happens. So when I was a kid, I was like, fuck, I'm going to get covered in tattoos. I'm going to go and do all this crazy stuff. I'm going to travel around. I'm going to do XYZ. Super fun, amazing. Nothing will ever be bad ever again. And to some extent, I have done a lot of the things that I wanted to do. But there's still a lot of shit. And things don't move as fast as you think they will as a kid. You're like, I'm going to join a band. We're going to play Rada Rada Rada, Wembley on Thursday. It's like, it doesn't quite work like this, kid me.
No,
I would love to sit down and tell little old me what it's really like.
Yeah, but no, you never listen, do you? That's the whole premise.
No.
You never listen. No.
But what do you think of that conversation? Like, high school's the best time of your life. Everyone tells you that when you're in high school.
I have mixed feelings about high school. It wasn't the best time for me, but it also wasn't the worst. Yeah.
I think I was just a bit dumb and it was like blissfully unaware. I definitely have more fun now, but maybe in lower quantities. The highs are better, but less frequent.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
Maybe.
I wonder it's interesting to think about what your high school self would think about your life now. And I'm quite happy that if my expectations of being an adult were actually radically different from what I am now. But the cool thing about my life now is that if I were to go back and talk to my high school self and be like, hey, I'm you in 10 years, he would be like, fuck. Nice beard.
Whoa, bro.
Oh my God, we have tattoos?
Yeah.
And, and fucking, how many chicks have we slept with? Would probably be the first thing he'd ask me. He's like,
have you got laid yet, bro?
Yeah, seriously, because when I finished high school, I was still a fucking virgin.
Oh,
no, legit, boy. Yeah. I think I lost it the 6 months after I left or whatever. But considering I was 120 kilos for most of high school as well, that's probably, I've gone into that at a previous thing.
I was just a terrible kid. So I know if I met me now, I'd be like, listen here, you little cunt. And then he'd be like, fuck you. And we'd just go and
listen to
He'd be like, you dress like a fucking loser. Why don't you have dreadlocks? The worst kid.
Oh, that's gold.
Yeah.
And then what would you go? You'd go steal a couch and fucking set something on fire. I'm pretty sure you
do need to get into those stories sometime.
Yeah.
But what I thought I was going to grow into is drastically different. Like Yakx said, I don't even fucking remember what I wanted, but it's completely irrelevant now.
I remember quite clearly.
Yeah? What did you want?
I wanted to be an actor for quite a bit of high school, and then I switched to being a musician, wanting to be a musician in the later years, and I started working on it. And I am a musician, and I'm a pretty damn good one, if I don't say so myself, so I can fucking tick that off the old bucket list. I didn't think I'd be this sad. That was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, I kind of thought
the sadness is the real sadness,
Yeah, because you don't really get told about mental health that much when you're a kid.
No,
no one really brings it up.
It might have changed now. I think there's been a big shift.
I have a feeling it does. That it has changed. When I was in school, no one talked about that shit, and everyone would just give you shit about it. In our generation, that's what it was. But now it seems drastically different. But yeah, I always thought it would kind of go away, and now it's just transformed into kind of mundane. It's another one.
It just comes and it goes, isn't it? It's
instead of that whole woe is me, dramatic everything, you're kind of just fuck. Guess I'll have a dart.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just deal with it.
Come to think of it, the expectation when I was a kid is that I thought later on in life, if I had problems or I was, sad or angry or frustrated or hurt or whatever, then I would be really tanky and an adult self can deal with problems and knows how to fix the problems and is very resilient. And to some extent, I know I fulfilled that reality, but the cost of getting to that stage was way more intense than I thought it would be.
Yeah, you don't just naturally be like, no, I'm totally fine now. You kind of just
literally take hits until you can stand up.
I've gone through some stuff life now.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And also, like, okay, so, like, yeah, I moved out of home after doing some study, kind of went into the city flat, had a shitty job where I just worked at nighttime. All I did was just, like, play video games and go out with friends in the city, and it was, like, amazingly good fun. And then, as everything, it kind of just gets old, you know, you kind of just go, I've done it. You know, I've done this for a little while.
I'm bored.
I need change. And then it's like, there's no, I don't know, to me, there doesn't really seem to be like an end game. It's kind of just like, do the things until it becomes irrelevant and then find the next thing. Whereas I think as a kid, you kind of go like, oh, I'll be happy for it. I remember now.
Okay.
Why don't old people like drink all the time? You remember that?
Every
fucking 18-year-old like, oh man, I just party like till I die.
You know, I never want to get old because they stop being fun.
Yeah.
They stop doing fun things.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is just, it just gets old.
Yeah,
dude.
it's like you do it for enough, you know, and you run out of fun.
Why don't people have house parties anymore where people drink like 16 beers and then throw up everywhere? This is so much fun. No, it was fun.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not anymore. And that's kind of the changeover, I guess.
It is. So yeah, expectations is that, you know, that's actually one thing that I had expectations in the reality turned out to be quite different.
What's that?
Is house parties.
Yeah.
And I think for a large extent, I got a lot of impression of house parties, how they were supposed to be from like the American kind of house party style of house parties, and New Zealand ones were very different. But house parties, the expectation I had was like, you know, kind of far more people than there ever were. Probably far more people than they were realistic. I always pictured a house party as like, you know, packed and everyone's dancing in sync. Like,
and there's like two DJs.
Yeah, there's like full on fucking DJs and fucking confetti cannons and a punch bowl. You know, these elements did appear in parties. They did appear, but it wasn't all in one location. Like, and then
the New Zealand equivalent was the farm parties, because the farm parties were the shit, dude.
Oh, I never went to one. I never got into the country that much.
It was the best, because you just had this huge landscape full of miscellaneous rusted objects, and there'd usually be like a shitty barn or something, and there'd be like good 100 people there and absolutely nothing around, so you could just blast music as loud as possible, and everyone was just fucked. It was so messy.
That sounds a lot more like the parties I expected.
Yeah. They were amazing. Like, I remember all of those. Just, there was always amazing catastrophe.
Yeah.
There was always everyone there that you possibly knew, and it always went till like the most obscene hours of the morning. Like, I remember a lot of them, we would just drink until we got like picked up by our mums at 7 or 8 in the morning the next day, and then we just go to bed the next day. But farm parties were
the shit.
The best parties.
So that's one expectation. In reality, was really fucking like it.
Well, I always thought they would get better. Like,
right. I
always thought like, oh, when you're an adult, you can go clubbing.
Guess what?
Let's go clubbing. Hated. That was the thing actually. When we came into the adult world, I didn't like going out. I just didn't like it. And I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, I was not a fan either. Yeah.
And then we found the things that we liked. But that is another thing that we wanted to talk to you about, is the big changes from when you're a kid. No, sorry, from when you're a teenager to when you're an adult.
Yeah, you gotta turn and face the strain.
It's not like a natural thing. Like when you're a kid and you go to a teenager, it's like this, you know, it's very organic. You're just like, oh, puberty, and then you kind of just become this new human without really trying.
Puberty is a very chemical process. It happens rapidly. It's like, blah, 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 oh my God, shit's happening right now.
And then, you know, going from teenager to adult, you kind of like, oh, I have to actively make changes. And that's why it's a lot harder for a lot of people, because they're like, but everything's been so easy up until now.
Well, puberty gives you your adult body effectively, or like the real start of it, you know. It gives you the full-on growth spurts and everything, and gets you to the stage where you're physically getting towards an adult. I think the changes, though, to take you from an adult mentally are much more subtle in a lot of ways. Like, they're just not as obvious. For a large part, the changes were mostly mental And
most of them are.
The first shift, like we said earlier, the first shift is when you're out on your own and you're paying your own bills and you're working your own job. That's the first major point of realizing you're a DULT.
And that's another thing as well. Like when you get a job, you can't just not go in. It's not high school, and that fucking sucks.
That kicks in. That really gets you.
You're like, what do you mean I have to go? Why?
Especially if you hate the job, and most people do. Their first jobs.
Especially their first jobs. Their first jobs are
usually
shit.
garbage. Yeah.
What was your first job?
Well, I actually worked in high school. Like I worked for Baker's Delight. It was actually pretty baller because you got a shitload of free nice stuff. But
free bread, son.
Oh, they did all this other shit as well, like fucking the scrolls and Vegemite scrolls and shit like that.
Jesus.
Like, but anyway, the change from that like high school part-time job to full-time job, and my first full-time job was Michael Hill Jeweler, and that was a piece of shit. Fucking hated that.
What a strange job for you specifically.
I know. Well, I wasn't there long. I went to the rock shop after that. But the change, getting it when you're waking up in the morning, you're going like, I don't want to do this. This is shit. And you're like, I literally have to do this.
I have rent.
I have, I will die. I think actually, the change was maybe a bit more stark for me, because for me, it was not a case of, if I bust on this flat, I will have to go back and live with my parents. Well, probably what would have happened anyway, but they, at the same time that I moved out of home, they moved to the South Island. So they were very far away. But that was ever present in my mind as I was like, okay, I'm on my own.
The other thing we wanted to talk about is one of the other, kind of a physical change, kind of a mental change, but not sleeping. My God.
Lack of sleep. It's actually one of the biggest problems that plagues the new generations, actually. It's really intense, to the point where apparently when doctors go through a certain amount of medical training, obviously years and years of it, the amount of training they get on the sleep administration, or like how much they're trained on the benefits of sleep and things like that, equates to something like 24 hours out of their entire year. Or years and years and years of medical training. It's a very small percentage of, unless you're training as a specialist, obviously, but as general rule, your GP or something like that, they're going to recommend getting sleep. Sleep is a massive healing,
recommending doesn't really help, does it?
Yeah, well, also, oddly enough, sleep for me has never really been explained how important it actually is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was never explained to me.
Yeah. When you first come into being an adult, you're just tired all the time because you're like, I'm going to stay up until 4 a.m. And then you get up and go to work, and you're like, why do I feel so shit all the time?
Yeah.
And it's like, what's wrong with only drinking Coca-Cola, eating pizza, and getting 3 hours sleep every night? I don't understand why I feel so bad.
Oh, there's the thing though, is that like I really hated a lot of my jobs, and to try and recover from the shit, I would do stuff till late in the early hours of the morning to try and perk myself back up again, and then you lose that sleep, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and then you fall asleep in the middle of the day on your one day off, and you're like, fuck, I just wasted my whole fucking day off. And then you just get mad, and then you try to make up for it, and the cycle begins again.
Exactly.
But what other changes are there?
I think, aside from not getting really any sleep and, physical actual changes, I think, and mental when you're out of home and you're on your own, and that independence, I think the biggest change as well between being a child and being an adult is realizing that this is your life, that moment when you kind of go, I have to be thinking about my career or things like that. This comes a little later, obviously. Like usually
you've got a couple of years where you just fuck around for sure.
I'd say in mid-20s is when you really start to be like, I wonder what I'll be doing. If you're not at uni and, if you haven't set yourself a very concrete route, but even then you might start questioning it to some extent. You might be like...
Most uni kids are just like, why did I pick this subject? I've done this for 3 years, and now I'm going to drop out and pick something else. It happens all the time because you shouldn't be making decisions about your life as a child.
Well, yeah, it's really annoying to some
But that's
extent.
a whole other topic.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that.
Nah. So that is a major change when you realize that you're responsible for your own future, I think.
Yeah.
It's like not just responsible for your present, but for what happens to you in the future. That's a really hard one to deal with, actually, because it's still distant. In fact, even up to the age I am now at 28, it has been distant for, it was distant for most of the 20s. I was still drinking and partying and hanging with friends and doing the things like that.
I don't know. I feel like I got out of that mindset pretty quickly. I'm not saying that I've made great decisions or overcome this thing, but that became pretty apparent to me probably around like 20 years old.
Yeah, I can believe that. Absolutely.
I was just like, I'm fucking sick of all this shit. I don't want to do any of this stuff anymore. Yeah, values definitely change as well. Like what you
that's a good
consider,
point,
what
yeah.
you define as success. And this isn't just becoming an adult. This will happen throughout your life 1,000 times.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
But as a kid, I just wanted to hang out with the boys, drink some beers.
Yeah.
I was never really concerned about, we were never concerned about girls. We all just wanted to work in the exact same place and just drink beers, just hang out, listen to Motorhead and like trash.
Listen to Motorhead.
That was the first band that I thought of.
Wow. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never had you ever listen to Motorhead.
No, I think you know when your friends like listen to music and you're a kid and you also listen to that music?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, now if someone presented that to me, I'd be like, well, that's a complete waste of my time. I need to accomplish all these goals. You know?
That's a big change. Prioritizing.
Yes, prioritizing is the
what
word.
you do with your time. Time is finite. I mean, to be honest, that is a very adult concept. And
Yeah, it's kind of realizing that you are not an immortal godling. You are here for X amount of time and you need to do the things.
Yeah.
You need to do the things that you want to do.
And the responsibility of making that happen, like I said, of being responsible for your own future, that's a nasty shock when you realize that if you keep pissing around, you're gonna have piss.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
You are going to drown in piss, son. You're going to be drinking a lot of piss. But yeah,
So those are the changes of adulthood.
those are some of the changes. There's definitely more.
There's more. But we have a finite amount of time.
But yeah,
Referencing.
please do tell us some changes.
Well, on to the last topic, the last thing subtopic we want to talk about in this episode of the Sippy and Yakx show is the positives of being an adult, because they exist.
Some are present. Let's start from the top. So from when you become 18, and then let's kind of, because I think there's actually a huge amount of positive to being an adult.
Absolutely.
There's some things that I would never want to let go of in return for lack of responsibility or something like that.
So I think number one, as much as I talk about pissing away time, the years I spent drinking and partying with friends, in your own flat when you're an adult and you go out and you get the money, money is yours and you get to go and buy the booze. You're not reliant on anyone. You're doing your own fucking thing. That is immensely fulfilling. And it's a very fun time of your life if you get to jump on that ship.
I remember on my fucking 18th birthday, it was the first time I got to buy beer. I was like, yeah, boy. And I went to the supermarket and I was like, bam. And then I got up my idea and they just walked off. I was like,
what? Oh, they didn't ask you for your idea? No way, really?
Yeah.
Oh
and now
God.
they ask me every fucking time.
That's hilarious. It's your hair. Must be the long hair.
No, I didn't have long hair at the time. It was just normal fucking shitty hair.
Oh, fucking hell.
But yeah, that was bullshit. Drinking is very fun. It is very fun.
Yeah, so you get to travel on, or you get to ride on that ship for a while. You get to smash those beersies and party and shit like that. And it doesn't last forever, but that kind of makes it better in a way.
But you still get it from time to time.
Yeah.
And it also, again, just transforms into something else.
Yeah.
Like if someone's like, do you want to go out and get smashed at the club or have 2 to 3 people sitting around eating cheese and crackers with a lot of wine? I'd be like, let's talk some shit and eat some cheese, son.
I'd probably choose, I want a few more people in option B, but like...
If they're good people,
I could do 7 to 8, and then when I'd had enough of the cheese and I'd have to have spirits. I can't drink wine, but then I would want to go see a show. So you discover what you like in those formative years as well. You work it out.
So drinking's the obvious one. Traveling.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the biggest ones. Yeah.
When you travel with your parents or travel with groups that you have to, it kind of sucks. And you think it's good, but then you do it by yourself or with
road
friends.
tripping with friends or that kind of shit.
Exactly.
You kick in and you're like, this is actually the best that exists. Yeah.
We can just eat Doritos in the car. No one's gonna tell us off. It's my God.
Holy
Those kind of things. That's amazing.
No, I think, one of the massive positives is the independence of it all and the way you get to travel, like, especially doing the big traveling and experiencing new sights and, exploring that horizon.
And also, another thing as well, if you are an adult, you're feeling a bit shitty, you're like, I haven't done anything. The most satisfying thing to do is to talk to one of your friends and just, riff stories at each other. Be like, remember when we did this? Remember, you weren't there, but I did this and this and this. And you kind of just look back and go like, oh shit, I have done things that are notable. That's amazing. I didn't know that.
It is good to look back as well on those times and be like, shit. And that all comes of being an adult and chasing those experiences yourself. So that's another positive. I think come to think of it, one of the massive positives of being an adult is that you deal with a lot of crap, but you do get a very good sense of satisfaction when you get to a certain point and you go like, you know what, I've dealt with some shit and I know I'm a capable person.
Yeah.
Like I know I can hold my own, and that feeling of strength is really cool. I really enjoy that.
And yeah, just hitting milestones and shit.
Yeah,
You don't
doing things,
You don't
yeah.
hit milestones when you're in school or university and stuff. It's more like just educational milestones,
Yeah.
which aren't as satisfying as personal goals, you know?
They do say, like, you know, I suppose a lot of the goals in high school, especially if you're doing things you're not that interested in, a lot of the goals are set for you.
Yeah.
And so they have less meaning, which is why I think goal setting and achievement should be one of the main things they actually teach in school, how to effectively make and achieve goals.
A cool thing I've enjoyed from adulthood so far is, oh my God, who am I going to be? You kind of just let go of that concept. You're like, nah, this is me. I don't need to chase some stupid character. You know, when you're a kid, you're always like trying to be, you know, you're trying to like be this great thing, and you kind of get to being an adult and just go, nah, fuck that, man. Like, that's a lot of work. I'm just going to do the things. And then...
So what you're saying is you either do or do not. There is no try.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's very good. You know, I think I've heard that quote somewhere. You know, I have a vague sensation of...
It was Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Ah, cool. From Firefly, I think, isn't it? He's the main character in Firefly.
Jumanji.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. That was a great book. I really enjoyed that book. But anyway, so the positives of being an adult, aside from, you know, growing up and taking hold of your own destiny by the ball sack and drinking and partying and being a general hoochie macoochie. So yeah, there are a lot of positives. There are many positives to being an adult. There are more, probably. I'm sure you could list a few of them in the comments below if you really wanted to. Give it a red hot go. It'd be really cool to hear from someone who went through the traditional, did well in high school, went and got a law degree, is a partner in a law firm or something like that. Someone who's done a very typical route and see, you know, what their successes and their failures turned out to be.
Have you ever met law students though? They're such strange humans. I've got a couple.
I've met a couple, yeah.
All my law student friends are they're just so like, hey, fuck. Fuck!
Really?
Insane. Like,
oh, wow.
Oh, this is so hard. Like, are you sure you want to do this, man? Like,
Jesus.
This seems a bit shit, you know? You're going to have to do this every day for the rest of your life. Yeah. You sure you want to do this?
Fuck, the only two law students I ever met were really fucking chilled. Like, the most chilled people I'd ever met. So they must come in two breeds. Yeah. That must be like one end of the scale and the other.
The ones that are good at law, the ones that are not good at law.
Could be that. Anyway, but yeah, so there are loads of positives. But in being an adult, I reckon as a sort of closing topic, what I'd like to talk about is the impression you begin to set on people around you as well. The impression you set as an adult on people around you is your own, for a start. Like we talked about, you have independence, but it's also very unique. It is possibly the most unique thing about you is how the impression you leave around yourself. All right, it's probably best summed up this way. There is a quote that says, you are the sum of the three people you spend the most time with. And in a way, yeah, you could kind of argue that's true. But I think being an adult, when you really kick into being an adult, is when you start to not only understand who you are, but to use that personality to influence things around you. To analyze different aspects of people's personalities, like before, you know, because when you're a child, it's often very black and white.
Yeah, this guy's a dick.
Yeah, this guy's a dick. She's hot. She's not. This is lame. Let's go do this. This is cool. This is not. This is a group. This is blah, blah, blah. And that polarity does reflect in real life as well.
And there are people who still think like that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it carries on. It doesn't stop. But being an adult is realizing that you can be your own individual and still be an influencer of people around you, I think, which is really cool.
In what ways do you think you influence people?
I think by and large, because of the way I am as an adult and I am as a person and the things that I've gone through, I'm a very positive influence in a lot of people's lives. And that is a very wholesome thought. You know, it's a nice thought to come back to. And I do also think that if I were to go back and try to do it again, for example, I don't know if I ever would. You know I have a lot of shit that I deal with now, and you know there are a lot of things I haven't done so well and all the rest of that crap. But I know that the person that I am right now is a person that I am proud of being. So that's a really cool thing of being an adult.
That is true.
When you
I
can
would
look back and
definitely
say
not
that.
be younger me. I like this rendition of myself the most. The only way that I affect people is just making shitty jokes. I think shitty jokes is my life. I refrain from saying a lot of shitty jokes on this podcast because they're not funny. And, you know, got some friends that I, you know, kind of look after. You know, you got your little youngin' friends and you're like, let me tell you how to do this, kiddo. And it's the most satisfying thing. That is a really cool thing as well, is like being able to help other people, because you can't really do that when you're a teenager or a kid or whatever.
It barely occurs to you.
Yeah, you're like, I just so much angst. I don't have time for anyone else.
I'm out of this.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
And now it's kind of like, well, the people that I hang around with, everyone's so willing to help each other, and it is like one of the most beneficial things. Supporting is cool, guys. Wholesome content.
That's what we want. Big W's. Big W.
Isn't that a chain store?
Hey, yeah, that's too. It's like the warehouse here. Yeah. They used to call me Big Dog for a while because I used to drink. I used to drink that completely terrible bourbon and cola.
Yes,
Bigfoot. I drank that too. There was Bigfoot, and then later because that got outlawed. I'm pretty sure it was too much alcohol for like. They used to sell it in those 1.5 liter bottles. I used to buy $10.
My mum used to buy me 2 of those, and she'd be like, "Go have fun." It's like,
fuck. Our mums are so different, man. But anyway. That's adulting.
In summary, according to us.
It basically goes, you go through a whole bunch of shit and you work out to some degree who you are, and then you try to use who you are to make your life and other people's lives better. That is true adulting.
Should we call that?
I think that's it. I think that's been a good episode. If you learned some learns, give us a like and a subscribe. All that hot biz, download on your podcast app. Do all that friendly shit. Give us a wave on the Instagram as well. We've got Instagram. There are plenty of memes on the Instagram, actually. Sippy makes some great memes. Please involve yourself in his creations.
Or send me better memes, because I don't want to make them anymore.
Oh, you just spoiled that one, didn't you?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's been good.
It's been fly.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been nice, guys.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. This has been the Sippy and Yakx Show. Thank you very much for listening. We'll catch you all next time, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.